Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make curved and inclined roads in Hammer Editor. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. Do not attempt to recreate anything shown in this video. You may experience frustration, sadness, anger. Hammer Editor is an ancient garbage. Nevertheless, it's the best piece of software ever made. Okay, let's go into making the roads. Making a straight road is easy as hell. Just make a brush with arbitrary width, length and height. However, I strongly recommend you sticking to power of tools like 512, 256, etc. and aligning it nicely with as big as possible grid. Then texture the visible sides accordingly. Once you have a straight road as a reference, let's jump into making a flat, curved one. For that, grab a block/brush tool, change the brush type from block to arch, select a square of length equal to 4 times the width of your road, press enter and in the arch dialog pop-up, set the width to half of your original one, so 256 in my case. I advise you to stick with 8 segments and 90 degrees curve. If you want, for example, a 45 degrees curve, just delete half of the segments and you're done. Okay, hard part involving mathematics is ready. Now, texturing. Grab a texture tool, pick the top texture of your road and apply it to the side of the straight road with right mouse button while holding an Alt key. Now, select the newly textured side and while holding Alt, texture the sides of the curved road. Good. Pick the side texture of a segment and apply it to the top, again with Alt being pressed down. And repeat that process for every fragment. Remember, you cannot just pick one fragment's texture and apply it to the top of others. You need to always pick the side texture of each fragment first and then apply it to the top, just like me in the video. Cool, your road looks fabulous, but it's quite dangerous to drive on such avenue. There's no protective railing, one mistake and you fall to your death. Let's fix it. Making a railing for a straight segment is as easy as making a new brush, so pick the no draw texture, make a brush on the side of your road and don't forget about switching from arch to block. I recommend you to make it 32 units high and 2 units wide. Texture the side with a nice railing texture and done. But driving straight is easy, you'd need to be drunk as hell to follow such path. What about the curve? We need to make it safe, so again, grab the block tool, change the brush type from block to arch, select a square just like you would do while making a curved road. In the pop-up, since our railing is 2 units wide, we set the width to 1. Remember the formula? Half the width. Press enter and here's your beautiful railing. Texture it just like when making a road, so hold down Alt and your protective railing is ready. Now let's jump into a much more complicated stuff. You've guessed it, a curved and inclined road. Just a quick note, to make an inclined road you absolutely need to already have a fully textured curved flat one, just like I do. First step of this nightmare is splitting each segment into 2, so the top sides look like triangles. Why is that? Well, the absolute trash software, that is Hammer Editor, does not like when faces of the brushes are not flat, and a nice property of a triangle is, it's always flat. You can put one vertex on the moon, another one in the center of a freaking galaxy and the third one on top of your nose, and guess what? This triangle is still going to be flat. So grab a clipping tool and split each segment into 2 by making a diagonal cut. Make sure to select the mode so it keeps both pieces of a cut brush and split each segment into 2. You're done? Great! Back to some mathematics. Let's say you want your road to raise or lower from 512 units to 2056 units. That's 2056 unit difference. The question is, how much should a single road segment raise? It's a simple elementary school calculation. Divide the difference by the number of segments. I have 8 segments and 256 units raised. So it's 256 divided by 8 and the result is 32. That means in my case each fragment needs to be raised by 32 units relative to the previous one. As I said in the beginning, work with powers of 2. Hammer's gonna love it and the math's gonna be easy. Okay, math's done, let's talk more work. Get the Vertex tool, select the last segment and grab it by its end. Position those vertices so they lay at your destination height, in my case 256 units below the start of the road. Make sure your vertices are perfectly aligned with the grid, because any side-to-side movement will break your brush. After that, add the next segment to your selection and grab the middle vertices. For simplicity, lay them flat with previous ones and now raise them. I've calculated the segment raise to be 32 units, so I raise them by 32 units. Again, being very careful not to move them from side to side, only up and down. You should get the idea now, so repeat it for every segment. If you calculated everything correctly, your road should now go from the start height down or up to your destination height. As I already said, your road needs to be textured before making it inclined. So at this point, if you decide to texture it, you're gonna break everything. The textures won't align properly and you're going to have a very bad day. The last step is making the railing. Just like with the road, you make a flat curved railing first. But if it comes to texturing, it's important to texture the top side of the railing using its side texture, again with Alt being pressed down. It will serve as a template for texturing the messed up sides after aligning it with the road. Once your railing is textured, and most importantly the top is textured, we can start to bend it. In this case it's much easier. You don't need to split those tiny brushes into triangles. Just select the whole railing, go into Vertex selection and put the vertices so they touch the road. I think the video speaks for itself, so enjoy the process. The last step of our agony is fixing the textures, and this is the moment when our textured top of a railing is going to save us. Grab a texture tool, pick the top texture of a railing segment and apply it to one side. If the texture is upside down, try with the opposite face. Mark the correctly textured side and apply it to the opposite one. Remember, the Alt key is your friend here. Repeat it for every segment and voila, you're done. After finishing your road, select the entirety of it with railings, curves, etc. and press Ctrl T to tie it to the entity. Make it a func detail. You can add custom key values for Gmod, that is gmod_allow tools and gmod_allow fizzgun. Set them to 0 so the players won't be able to grab your road with fizzgun. And that's it. If after completing this task you're not insane, depressed, nor already dead, congratulations. You're a man after my own heart. And remember, aim for the head, brother. That's my advice. Make use of my traps, and I see you've already met my congregation. Yeah.